Well, today is the day that many internet sites have been talking about for a while. It is known as Blackout Day around in certain areas of the World Wide Web, cyberspace, internet, if you will. And the reason it's known as the Blackout Day is because many are doing this in protest of SOPA. Now, I talked about this recently in an on-camera video, and my thoughts are still the same. This could either work or it could backfire. See, a lot of people don't like the idea that SOPA and PIPA present. They don't like it. But how many times do people have to say? The White House, as of right now, will not support SOPA or PIPA. Yeah, Lamar Smith can come out and say he's going to take out the DNS blocking, which is a good thing. But it's like many people have said. Bad Cop has said. Angry Joe has said. You know, anybody that's paid attention to this, the Young Turks have said, you know, just because SOPA is being shelved right now, and just because PIPA might be considered on that same wave frequency of being shelved or gone through, the fact of the matter is it's not going to be signed. Because you got to remember, it's got a few more steps to go before either one of them is put into law. And that one final step is being signed by the president. And the president, yeah, I will admit, he did sign in a recent bill that he said he wouldn't do. He wouldn't sign in. And I admit that he did lie on that. But sometimes you got to remember something. Whether we like Obama or not, and believe me, I don't care very much for the guy. The fact of the matter is this. Congress usually has the say-so. So once one house passes a vote in a bill, and then the main house, which is the Congress House, does the same thing, then the president has no choice sometimes. His hands are tied. Now, if I was the president, I could rip up those bills and say, I'm not going to sign these. But the thing is, sometimes a house has more power than the person that's supposed to be overall in charge. It's kind of like when you look at certain businesses and corporations and stuff. You have a board of directors, you have a chairman, and you have a board of directors. The board of directors usually has the final say-so in a chairman's future. Excuse me for a second. Hold on for a second, folks. Sorry about that. I guess my cat didn't want to come out or anything. But, like I'm saying, usually in businesses, the board of directors usually have the final say-so in whether or not a chairman or CEO can keep the position or they should appoint somebody else. It's kind of like when the Congress and the Senate decide to impeach a president. It's kind of like that. Even though the president runs the country, and he has the final say-so, there are times he cannot overturn certain things. I mean, he could overturn certain things, but there are times that the president's hands are tied behind his back and he's got no choice. Now, I understand, and because I said this myself, I understand that the reason the president is saying this now, the reason the White House is saying this now, is because it's election year. And they want to get as many of the people's votes as they can. Which, obviously, I hate to say it, I have to agree, is a good move. But, here's the thing. If you want to keep people on your side, you got to stick by your word. You got to stick by your guns. You can't just go and do what you do. You can't just go back on your word like you did before, like the president did with this one bill. Excuse me a second. Finally, this cat wants to come in. But anyway, like I say, you can't just go back on your word like Obama did with this one bill. You got to stick by your word. And I guarantee you this. All of Obama's opponents, whether the Democrat, Republican, or independent, or whatever, I know at least some of them are going to use that to their advantage to try to take his position as president. I'm sure that the Republican representative that wants to become president, that seems to have that overall lead right now, and I can't think of his name, I'm pretty sure he's coming out and saying that Obama, I'm pretty sure he'll come out and, if somebody was to ask him about Obama's decision on SOPA, on not to support it, I'm pretty sure that Republican guy that's, again, I can't think of his name, that's in a strong position to become to be the primary candidate for president, I'm pretty sure he'll be using that whole SOPA deal by saying, look, Obama, by basically calling out Obama. I mean, basically what I think this guy will do is call Obama out, basically on what he did. He'll say, yeah, Obama is saying that now. He's saying he won't support SOPA or PIPA now. But if the people vote him back in for a second term, he'll go back on his word. So you see, that's what it's all about. It's about election. It's about election, folks. It's about getting people's votes. And Obama is doing everything he can to get those votes. The White House, the people that work in the White House, are trying everything to get those votes for him and for themselves. Those that are in the Senate, in the House of Legislation, and in the Congress, overall, those that have jumped ship from supporting SOPA to opposing SOPA. The only reason they're doing it is to get election votes, and that is the main priority. That is why right now the White House has said they will not support SOPA. That is why they say they will not support PIPA, because they do not want to lose any votes. They want all the votes and support from the American people, like myself and like you guys, that they can get. But the thing is, it all rests on their shoulders. It all rests on their shoulders. Can they stand by their words? Will they stand by what they say? Probably not. Because, as many people pointed out, we can't believe a single word that comes out of the White House. We can't believe a single word that comes out of the Senate. We can't believe a single word that comes out of Washington overall. But as far as the blackout goes today, on January 18th, 2012, it is a good move. But will it be a move that will succeed or backfire? I mean, you have one guy out of Google, one guy called Chris Dodd, that according to some people was throwing a temper tantrum, if you will, on Twitter, saying that the White House doing what they did by saying they will not support SOPA or PIPA is crazy. He's basically upset about it, and he feels that they should support it. They should get behind it. Well, you know what? It's like I said in my video that I did yesterday, and I apologize for the blurriness in that video. But it's like I said. I think if the White House, those in the White House that stick by their guns and stick by what they say, by what they say, when they tell people they're not going to support SOPA or PIPA, if they stick by their guns, folks, if they stick by their guns, and I think what some of them are trying to say, and I said this yesterday, they're trying to say to the Motion Picture Association of America and the movie companies, as well as the RIAA and the music companies associated with them, as well as the ESA and the gaming companies associated with them, that if you want people to stop pirating your material, you should do it yourself. If you could find ways to prevent people from copying movies off DVD and Blu-ray and even before that VHS, you can damn sure find a way to prevent them from ripping your movies or your CDs or your games onto the laptop or onto the computer and allowing people to download them either for free or for a price. That, to me, is what they're trying to say. I mean, come on, let's be honest. If companies like Warner Brothers, Paramount, and a few others can find a way to prevent movies of DVDs and Blu-rays, like, say, Iron Man and Inception and a few others, from being copied courtesy of software like DVD Fab, then they damn sure could find a way to put in some kind of encoding or something like that onto the disc as well that would prevent them from being ripped. Heck, I've seen a few CDs, I'll be honest with you with this, I've seen a few CDs by music companies that have done something like that. So if some music companies can do that, then overall all music companies can do that. And the same can be said for movie companies and even gaming companies. Just find a way to probably put some kind of encoding on your disc. Encoding on your disc. Or on your disc or something like that. Or your cards, whatever your games come on. Or disc, whatever. And thus, you probably have a solution right there. But until that time comes, I will agree this, we cannot ignore the fact that SOPA, even though it's shelved and possibly PIPA will end up in the same area, we cannot ignore the fact that it's still out there. We cannot ignore the fact that they are still out there. So, as far as this blackout goes for today, I will say this. I give them, going today, I give them this. I give them a round of applause because, yeah, it is a strong statement, but you got to pray, you got to get on your hands and knees, and you got to pray to God and pray to the Lord Jesus that this succeeds and it doesn't backfire. So, that's my thoughts on the blackout, on the blackout in protest to SOPA and PIPA. Give me your thoughts below. Oh, tell me what you think, and I'll talk to y'all later.